So, what do you think about this whole 4-day workweek trend? It seems to be gaining momentum, especially in Europe and Australia.
It's definitely interesting. I've read a lot about it, and it seems like there are some real potential benefits: reducing burnout, improving work-life balance, and even boosting productivity. But I'm also curious about the practicalities of it. How would it actually work in different industries?
Exactly. It's about finding ways to streamline processes and make decisions more efficiently. I think a 4-day week could be a catalyst for that kind of change, forcing companies to reevaluate their priorities and how they allocate their time.
It's definitely something to think about. I'm curious to see how this trend develops and what kind of impact it has on different industries and workplaces.
Me too. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's definitely a conversation worth having. We need to find ways to create a work environment that is both productive and sustainable, and a 4-day week might be part of the solution.
I agree. It's about finding a balance that works for everyone, and that's something we should all be striving for.
That's a great point. The CEO of 4-Day Week Global, Dale Wellahan, argues that it's not just about reducing hours, but about fundamentally changing the way we work. He talks about how our current work structures are outdated and don't align with the demands of a highly cognitive workforce. We're essentially pushing our brains to work like machines, which isn't sustainable.
That makes sense. We're constantly bombarded with information and demands, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. I think a lot of people are struggling with that right now, especially after the pandemic.
Exactly. And Wellahan points out that a 4-day week can actually lead to productivity gains. He talks about the 100-80-100 principle, where companies aim for 100% output with 80% of the time, while still paying employees 100%. It's about shifting the focus from time spent to outcomes achieved.
That's a really interesting approach. It's about trusting employees to manage their time effectively and prioritize what's important, but I can see how some companies might be hesitant to make that shift.
I agree. There's definitely a cultural shift that needs to happen, but Wellahan also highlights the potential for a 4-day week to address gender inequality. He points out that women are disproportionately represented in part-time work, which often leads to lower pay and fewer opportunities for advancement.
That's a really important point. It's a vicious cycle, where women are often forced to take on more household responsibilities and reduce their work hours, while men are expected to work longer hours to make up the difference. A 4-day week could help to break that cycle by allowing both partners to share the workload more equally.
Absolutely. It's about creating a more equitable and sustainable work environment for everyone. But there are also some challenges to consider. Wellahan mentions the issue of meetings, which he believes have become a major productivity drain. He argues that they often reflect a culture of indecisiveness and a lack of accountability.
I couldn't agree more. Meetings can be so unproductive, especially when they're not well planned or facilitated. It's easy to get bogged down in discussions that don't lead to any concrete action.